topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Hey, over the next 50 minutes, we have an incredible show for you. I was strumming through some of my old shows. This expert has been with us for about 10 years. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I really do a lot of research on our experts. And there's a lot of national companies that they do tax relief. And I will check on them from time to time, and I'll read the Google reports on them. And a lot of these big national companies that spend hundreds and thousands of advertising have a lot of bad reports about them. And then you go back a year later, they're not even in business anymore. Well, Taxation Solutions has been in business, have been around forever. And that's because they take care of their clients. Today we have Barry Fowler. He's the president and founder of Taxation Solutions. They do tax relief. He's also considered an enrolled agent. We'll get into that, what that is. And he's licensed to represent taxpayers when they have to go before the dreaded Internal Revenue Service. And folks, they are beefing this up. They are coming after us. Thank God there's a Barry Fowler out there, Taxation Solutions. Good morning, Barry.
Hey, good morning, Steve-O. It's actually great to be on the program, and you talk about 10 years ago. We were both younger, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember that the first time, we met, I was really skeptical. I was like, okay, what is this guy doing? And
I remember where we had dinner at.
Yeah, my wife and I came down and went to Florida. We had a great time and cut our first video with you guys.
Yes,
there in the studio, because we actually had to come there and do things, and instead of being able to record something really good, remote. We had a good time, and it was really nice. It was actually a great production that we did in that radio program that we were recording at that time. So it was great. We really, really enjoyed it. And this has been a great relationship working with you, and being able to get out, not just, in different local markets, but now nationally, what Taxation Solutions does, and, how we save people money and save them from having to deal with the IRS.
Barry, I got to tell you, I am so glad you are such a big part of the show, because all we hear about in the news now is how the IRS is going after taxpayers, American citizens, and they are beefing us up so they can pay for all this crazy garbage they're sticking on us. Not to get political, but that's all you hear about is how the IRS is now really stepping up and going after taxpayers.
You say the crazy garbage that they're having to pay for. They don't even care if they have the money to do it. They just borrow it on our children's or grandchildren's future payments in. Right now, they need all the money they can just to pay the interest on the national debt that they have out there. But yeah, they going out after 80,000 new people over the last couple of years, and they've been hiring people, like crazy, and not all of them know exactly what they're doing. And you got to be prepared for that. And if you are one of those do-it-yourselfers that, hey, I want to take this on and absolutely go against the IRS and do this yourself, well, you can do that. There are some pitfalls for doing that, and there's some hurdles you've got to get over. But these people don't always know what they're doing, and they're only after your money. They consider anything you have when you owe the IRS to be theirs, and they're going to come after it, whether it's liens, levies, wage garnishments, bank levies, you name it. They're coming after and doing it. You've even seen on U.S. Department of Treasury's website where they're auctioning off land or businesses or business licenses, business equipment. You even see some houses from individuals out there that they have taken while they're trying to go after, this debt that taxpayers owe. Not to scare you, that is their end game if they have to go after that. Or maybe if you've passed away, they're going to go after, what your heirs should be getting, but yet you owe the IRS money and they're going to come and get their take. It's just the way it works. And if you owe the government money, they're the biggest, baddest collection agency in the world, and they're coming.
Barry, I hope I don't regret saying this, but it bugs me when we have a president who preaches about paying your fair share, and then he's got a son that didn't pay his taxes. I mean, it's just so hypocritical enough that I don't like to bring politics into the show, but it just bugs me so much. And Barry, I know you have seen so much over the years, and we talk about a lot. We don't give out any names or anything, but we talk about a lot of clients that you have helped. And I love hearing your stories. We got a letter the other day from a guy who from San Antonio who listens to your show that loves when you come on. And he was telling me that you just never know when they're going to come after you. And he said, I am so glad that I have taxation solutions information, because God forbid if they ever come after me, I know who to call. And a lot of people don't.
Well, I mean, that's true. You hear the radio programs and the radio advertisements, all across the country. And hey, when people are desperate for clients, you're going to hear it more and more on the radio, and promising things that they can't necessarily keep. Everybody wants, what I call is the pipe dream. They want, the solution of all solutions that they think they can go ahead no matter what they have, that they can settle for. God, I hate this one. You and I have talked about this, over the last 10 years, when they claim pennies on the dollar or getting down to a very small percentage. Well, it's not guaranteed everybody's going to qualify for that, no matter what they tell you. If you've got money, you've got income, you've got assets, the IRS is going to want their share. They're going to want what you have to pay the debt back. I mean, that is just a given. There's ways to protect things. There's ways to help people through. And there's ways that, we can reduce the tax debt for you, but it's not guaranteed that everybody's going to get it. People talk about, what the IRS is doing these days. I mean, they have this great program and they call it the Fresh Start program. And you hear this advertised
All
nationally.
the time.
and it's really funny is I call it get your money program. It's fresh money coming into the IRS, and that's all it's about. And now you've got other companies out there that are going to say, hey, I can work within this fresh start program. We all work within the fresh start program. That isn't something that is brand new. It's been around for a while. There are a lot of requirements on it, but it is, hey, let's get the taxpayers' money. Now you've got to know how to work within that program. Whether you're going to be setting up an installment agreement, whether you're going to be setting up a partial pay installment agreement, or maybe you're going to put them in non-collectible status, or maybe, it's the offering compromise, which is where we all would like everybody to be able to go, is to the offering compromise program and get rid of the tax debt. But it doesn't make that program the right program for everybody. And it's not what you can tell everybody you're going to qualify them for. So, you kind of got to stop listening to those ads and talk to the real experts and understand that each program has its requirements. And you got to have the people that can work through those requirements, and they're going to be truthful with you right up front, whether you're going to qualify or not. Because in 2 minutes, I've talked to them, I've had them call me, which is really funny. They now have the robocalls that are out there saying, hey, you have tax debt. And so I'll play the game. I've been in this business, a very long time, and we'll play the game. And they've told me I qualify. And I had to stop and say, wait a minute. I just told you I have a house that has $300,000 worth of equity. I have a 401k with $200,000 in it, and I have bank accounts with over $150,000 in it, and I only owe $75,000, but I qualified for an offering compromise in their terms. Now you tell me how I can do that? You can't. I have enough money in that scenario to pay the full tax debt. I could pay it today based on that. And I had to just sit there and laugh. We've actually taken the time to report those to the Office of Professional Responsibility, because anybody that's an EA, CPA, tax attorney, all has to comply with Circular 230. And that's false advertising. And that isn't the way we want this industry to be. We want to be able to sit down with you and have an honest conversation about you, your assets, what you owe, and then what we can realistically do for you. And you may not like what we have to say, but it's going to be the truth. And it's going to be based on what you tell us that you can actually qualify for based on what you're saying your assets and everything are. But Steve, when I talk about this, and we've talked about it for 10 years, that I can't do anything if you don't pick up the phone and call us, And it's that simple. That's the reason we offer a free consultation, no judgment zone. But you got to dial that number, 877-996-6477. Again, it's 877-996-6477. Or you can go online at taxationsolutions.net. You can even find us on Facebook. We've got 50 locations all around the country that we use to meet or deal with the IRS in. But I've got places where I can deal with you no matter where you are. I've got clients in Alaska, Hawaii, Maine, Texas, Florida, Washington, you name it. We've got clients. So you're not the only one out there that has tax debt. So don't feel bad. It happens, and life happens. We're in no judgment zone. Please pick up that phone and call.
Barry, I wanted to share something with you. I've done so much research on tax relief companies over the years. And it seems like from everything I've read, Barry, is clients will pay these companies, and once they've paid them, they never hear from them. That is like the biggest complaint, that they just don't hear back from them. I've never read that about Taxation Solutions. And I know how important customer service is to you.
If you read anything about us, about phone calls and client contact, is we call them too much. We like our clients to stay up to date. We ask for active participation in your case. We need information from you. As a matter of fact, even when we're in a state of just waiting on the IRS, we're still calling every 30 days just to let you know, hey, we're still waiting on the IRS. We've checked on your case. We know what's going on. Here's what's pending. And then also that means that when something does happen with the IRS, or like, maybe we're sitting on an offering compromise, kind of like we were last week. They reached out to us and said, hey, we need this information from the client. Well, we've been in touch with the client, every single month. So they're expecting our phone call. They understand that we're going to call. And now we need information. So, hey, you haven't disappeared on us. We haven't disappeared on you. We're trying to get this offer through. Now we need a bunch of information. So let's hurry up and let's get this information so we can get it in, because we've got deadlines to meet. But just because we're in a dead period where the IRS is sitting on offer, because sometimes they'll take 6 months, 8 months, 12 months to process. God forbid, when we had COVID, it was almost 2 years to get something done. Usually around 18 months, but now we're back into a little bit more realistic time. And, we're going to jump through all the hoops to try to do everything we can to get that offer through. Same thing happens when we're doing installment agreements, is that there's going to be information. We're trying to get you the best deal. So we need the information. We need you working with us. And sometimes we run into a few hiccups that all of a sudden the IRS discovers you didn't file a tax return from 5 years ago. But they could have told us that a while ago. Now we got to get it done. So yes, we sometimes bother our clients too much, but we're consistent, persistent, and love to provide that client service and communication. So you never feel left out. You never feel like we're just not here and ignoring you. And that's what helps maintain our A+ rating at the BBB. And we're happy and proud of it.
We just got a text message from a listener from Metairie, Louisiana. They want to know what an enrolled agent is.
Yeah, I get that question all the time. Even when I became an enrolled agent, that was the first question my dad asked me is, what is an enrolled agent? Do you work for the IRS? I can't believe you'd want to do that. No, it means I work against the IRS. But what an enrolled agent is we're actually licensed by the U.S. Department of Treasury to represent taxpayers to the highest level of the IRS. That means, we had to go through testing, and we go through an extensive test, make sure we know the ins and outs of the tax code. We're probably the smartest people about the tax code there is in the country. There's a limited number of us out here, so you don't see enrolled agents out there like you do CPAs, and we don't do a bunch of other things like CPAs do. We don't do audits and bookkeeping and stuff like that. We handle IRS audits. We hire IRS tax problems. We hire IRS taxes. So we've got to know the tax code inside and out. Funny story is when I took my EA test back when it was still paper and pencil, not on the computers and everything. So, we'll date ourselves a little bit. I was in there taking this test, and I was looking around and going, man, there's a lot of people here taking it. And they were all sitting there studying with books. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is about taxes. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm a CPA. I should know this. Sat down, took the test, had lunch with some people, and they were all like, where's your book? Why aren't you studying? We've been taking this test like 4 or 5 times now. And, we've only passed one section, and this is really hard. I'm like, this is the easiest test I ever took. Needless to say, I passed it my first time, but people don't understand how hard it is to become an enrolled agent and how much you got to know about the taxes. And it's not just simple sitting at, one of the, block or storefront tax offices, because they do everything on a computer and all they know is the computer. You've actually got to know the rules behind the tax law. You've actually got to know how the tax law applies in many, many different situations. And, that's why enrolled agents are not a huge number of us out there, is because of the expertise that, we require. And I'll be honest, there are some really dumb enrolled agents too, that book knowledge, but not actual life knowledge, or know how to apply what they know in the book to dealing with your problem here at the IRS and solving, your tax debt. If you owe 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, $1 million, you've got to know how to work through that chain of command, and how to work through the process of solving that tax debt.
Barry, how long have you been doing this for?
I guess I should change this, because I always say knee high, since I've been knee high to a grasshopper. I mean, my dad was a CPA, and he used to go in and do taxes, and yeah, it was still paper and pencil way back then. And I started out paper and pencil taxes, but I found that I really enjoyed, taxes and accounting and bookkeeping, and that's what I ended up going to school for. And then worked for a few years for other people, and decided I needed to work for myself. And now I work for hundreds, if not thousands, of people every year, doing their taxes, solving their tax debt, and fighting against the IRS. So, the expertise is very deep. I've trained many enrolled agents and a few CPAs and tax attorneys of how to achieve the ultimate relief for a client, and getting rid of their tax debt, or getting rid of the penalties. Just like we did the other week, we had a client join us, and actually it was a referral from a business client out in New Mexico, and our business consultant, and they referred him to us. And first thing we did is went in and abated about 50,000 penalties. And now we're working on trying to get the rest of the penalties abated. And we should have some pretty good success. Right now, we're going to set them up on a small installment agreement to, keep them in compliance and keep the IRS at bay. We feel they have a good reason for abatement, so we'll be going after that. The first thing the guy said, and it was a doctor, and he looked at me and went, "Man, I didn't think anybody could do this. We've been dealing with a CPA here, and we couldn't get anything done." And I said, "Well, you got to have the expertise behind it to know how to get it done," and we got that taken care of right away. Now, we're going to be a little bit more down the road. I mean, they have several $100,000 worth of penalties. We're hoping we'll be able to get rid of it just doing the some of the requests for penalty abatement and running them up the flagpole and running them down the chain. But if we can't, we're going to go for offer and compromise, effective tax administration, and get the IRS hopefully to set aside those penalties. As soon as they discovered the problem and everything, they took care of all the tax, and all that was left is penalties. So, we're going to try the things that we know how to do, and try to get it done. We've had good success. We had a trucking company that came to us, went through an audit, owed over $1.5 million. We went back and completely did a whole audit reconsideration and got it reduced down to under $300,000. $1.2 million
Wow.
tax gone away.
How long did it take you to do it all?
Well, because we had to do several years of bookkeeping, it took us close to a year to do it, but we managed to keep the IRS.
Had to go back.
Yeah, we had to go back, and no, matter of fact, everybody said we couldn't get it done, and there were many companies out there that said this was impossible to do. And when I talked to the client and stuff, I went to her and said, "No, we can get this done. I would give you a guarantee that we're going to get it done." And we got it done. It took us a little bit longer because the client wasn't as forthcoming with all the information we needed for the bookkeeping, and it took them longer to get things to us because we were dealing with, something that was about 5 years ago. So getting all that information to us to be able to put all the support together was the hardest part for the client. But at the end of the day, we were able to do that and then go back and fight the IRS to get them to do the audit reconsideration, and then accept everything we gave them. I mean, they came directly back to our numbers. So it was a really good deal for the client, saved them a ton of money, and very, very happy that they were able to do it. Now, getting a payment plan that they wanted to agree on for the other, just under 300,000, that was a little bit harder deal for them, because they were making good money, but at the end of the day, it surely is a lot better to pay on a little less than 300 than, close to 1.5 million plus penalties and interest and stuff on top of that. So, a great deal for them.
Yes, and Barry, the reason why I asked you how long you've been doing this for is some new information I want to share with you. So it seems like every state has, I guess, a membership for enrolled agents. And I was shocked when I talked to some of these enrolled agents. You would say, how long have you been doing this for? And they go, just as proud as could be, 4 months, 6 months, 7 months. And that was more, there was more like that than people like yourself who've been in business doing this for years and years and years. And that's why we have a show like this, is that people don't have to get tied up with the wrong company. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan of taxation solutions and what you do for your clients. Let's talk about what separates you from other tax resolution companies.
Age. What separates us? Yeah, sense of humor, passion, our kind of direct approach to doing things. I had a client tell me they really liked the fact that I'm actually kind of blunt about things. We're not going to kind of beat around the bush and tell you, hey, what you just want to hear, just to hear it, and just to make you feel good. Not trying to make you feel bad. It's not your fault that you got into this tax situation or owe exactly everything you have. Reasons vary, but we're going to give you that customer service that you deserve when you're a client of ours. We're going to give you that truth, no matter how painful sometimes the truth can be. In this day and age, people want to sugarcoat things and make you feel good and go from there. Sometimes it's about that God's honest truth about things, what can be done, what should be done, how, not only can we help you, but how you can help yourself. And also telling you, hey, when you call on this free consultation, sometimes with the tax debt you have, you should just do it yourself. Pick up the phone, call the IRS, set up that payment plan. You're going to full pay. It's not worth your money to pay us or somebody else to go and do. Yes, sometimes the heartache isn't worth it. Sometimes dealing with the IRS isn't worth it. But sometimes spending the money for something that you can do or is simple that you should be doing, just to go in onto the IRS website and do it and pay it. Sometimes you want to stand on principle too. Hey, maybe you are totally wrong and the IRS is totally right. And you just want to stand on principle. You want to fight because you don't think the IRS has the right to collect taxes. Well, principle costs money. And sometimes we just got to tell you, hey, the IRS has been taken all the way to the Supreme Court. And, it's kind of like Obamacare. They took it all the way to the Supreme Court and they went, hey, it's a tax, you still have to do this. Does it make it right for you and I? No, but it's the law of the land, and that's the way it's going to go. So, we're going to be that company that is going to be maybe like your mom and dad, that sometimes they tell you things you don't want to hear, but sometimes you just need to hear it, and it's the way it goes. And the last thing is experience. We may have some young enrolled agents that start with us, but they get my guidance, or they get another very experienced enrolled agent's guidance to achieve the results that we get. That's why I've trained a number of enrolled agents here at Taxation Solutions, that sometimes they go out on their own and do their own thing. Does it make them the right ones to select? No, not necessarily. There are some really good ones that we still in contact with. We'll do some referral work with. But it's the training that they receive here to be able to know, how to push the right buttons and jump through the right hoops to get the solutions that you deserve as a client, as a taxpayer, and be able to fight the IRS in the right way to put the solution in place. And that's why we're Taxation Solutions.
Barry, I love it when you say, we are a no judgment zone, because there's a lot of people who are embarrassed. They shouldn't be. And they don't need to be embarrassed when it comes to Taxation Solutions. That is so important. And what you do, because there's not a level playing field when you go up against the IRS. You are, I don't care how sharp you think you are, how much you think you know, it's not a level playing field. But when you hire Taxation Solutions, you've now got a level playing field. Am I correct?
Nope. You're absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. We tip it in our favor. We're smarter.
I didn't know it.
So, Steve, we laugh about this, and, I had to spend a lot of time thinking about this. It used to be that, we could level the playing field, and we had, a level playing field when we're doing out here. But I started thinking about it, and the more I deal with these people, it's kind of like a teeter-totter. I'm the heavy guy. I've got the advantage, and I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this a long time. My staff knows what they're doing. They've been working with me for a long time. And when we start dealing with the IRS, I know the Internal Revenue Manual inside and out. I know the process they've got to go through, not just for the Fresh Start program, but for the Offer and Compromise program. I know what the rules are for liens, levies, if they're coming after wage garnishments, and I know how to tell them when they're doing things wrong. A good example, we've dealt with an IRS agent, and this one actually was seasoned, so he'd been there for 5 or 6 years. And he kept telling me we couldn't do some things that I knew full well that could be done. I told him, this is the plan. This is what we need to do for this taxpayer, and they qualify for it. And the guy kept telling me, no. And I went, hey, here's the code. Here's the section of the Internal Revenue Manual, and we need to follow this, and this is what you need to do. And the guy says, no, you need to take it. I'm not going to do this. And I refuse. And I went, okay, have your manager call me. Well, the manager will call you in the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, usually I already know this, experienced revenue officer that I'm going to be dealing with isn't always going to have his manager call me. So I picked the phone, called the manager, and talked to the manager, and he's like, well, Mr. Fowler, you're interpreting that wrong. No, sir, I'm not. Let's read this together. And here's the section, here's the rhyme, here's the verse, and here's everything you need to know. And he went, all right, I'll talk to the revenue officer. We'll get this done for you. Thank you. And that's the difference. If I am an inexperienced person, and it's kind of like some of the new staff we've brought in here, and we deal with somebody that's inexperienced, they'll come to me and say, what do I got to do? You've got to quote it this way. this is the reason we have the manual. This is the reason we get things done the way we get things done. And they'll go back and they'll learn. And, we were able to take it to the manager and get it done. If I had to go to appeals to get it done, I would have went to appeals. I've won many things in appeals. And sometimes the experience of doing things gets you things that you don't deserve. We took a lady who took way too many deductions, ended up in an audit, hired us to represent her in the audit. I walked in the audit, and the funniest part about it is I knew she was completely wrong. There was really no way I was going to support this in this case. And the first thing the examiner looked at me and said was, how did she drive 80,000 miles a year for business, work a full-time job, and do all this consulting? I know she got paid well for doing the consulting. She worked 40 hours a week for this other company and then put 80,000 miles on her car for this part-time work. She explained to me there was just no way at all there was enough time in the day or in the week to drive that many miles. I said she drove really fast. She wasn't going for it. She lost the audit. She lost everything in the audit. She didn't issue 1099s, nothing. This lady decided in talking with me and said, I want an appeal. Went through appeals, and they didn't even let us go through appeals. Took it to tax court. Now I'm not representing in tax court because I'm not an attorney, but they do allow us to go into mediation. And because they didn't let it go through appeals, I got an appeals officer in this mediation. And I explained to him, hey, this young lady paid cash for these items. Here's her mileage log, everything else. In appeals, I went through and was able to show them all the different things that we had produced before, but able to produce and explain to them that she paid these people in cash because she had bounced checks, and the guy in appeals allowed everything. Difference in knowledge. It's being able to how to explain things and how to explain what you need to do to be able to get those audits or get that appeal or get that offering compromise or get that installment agreement or partial pay installment agreement in place. Difference.
Here's a text that just came in. Hey, Barry, this is from Hawaii. I don't know if you have an office in Hawaii or not.
Yeah, I have an office in Hawaii, and the reason I do is because my wife and I took a vacation out there, and we were looking for some place. And I got my first Hawaiian client while I was in Hawaii, and we managed to write off the whole trip. So it was a beautiful day. I need another client in Hawaii. I need to go back.
Oh, this is amazing. They want to know why the IRS feels it's necessary to wear a gun.
We all ask that question. It's called Gestapo. It's usually okay. I will usually say it's the criminal investigation unit that is going to wear that gun. I have not seen them out anywhere I have been wearing a gun. And so, I think it's more in the criminal investigation. So if you're not doing anything criminal, I wouldn't really worry about it. But if you have a tax problem, I still say you call us at 877-996-6477. And then you never have to worry about them carrying a gun and coming to see you, because we step in your shoes, we deal with them, and they've got to deal with us and not you. And so then you don't have to worry about whether there's an IRS agent coming to you carrying a gun or not, because they're going to deal with us and not you. And again, that starts here with that free consultation at 877-996-6477.
Barry, I think that is so important, what you just brought up. It's once they sign on with Taxation Solutions, they don't have to talk to the IRS anymore. They don't have to worry about possibly saying the wrong thing to them. It's now put in your lap, and IRS has to go through you. That alone is a huge burden off of somebody.
Oh yeah. So I kind of think of it this way. Once we have you as a client and you've signed power of attorney, we stepped right into your shoes. IRS no longer is allowed to contact you. And if they do, you get specific instructions and you get our business card and says, hey, you reach out and call Mr. Fowler here at 877-996-6477 and hang up the phone. I've got representation. Matter of fact, don't let the IRS ever tell you that you don't need representation. When they say that, that's the first thing you should do is hang up the phone and call us.
That's a red flag.
You have a revenue officer or a revenue agent or an IRS agent who is going to be overbearing and thinks they can dictate everything and can do everything for you, because they're not there with the best interest of Joe taxpayer. They're in there with the best interest of Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam, you've seen the commercials, hey, they want you, right? No, they just want your money. Yeah. Unless they have the graft going, but Uncle Sam just wants your money. So, they're working for Uncle Sam. They're doing their job. They're doing what they got hired to do, is to collect, and collect. When you go to work for a collection agency, it's not, hey, you're coming here to be Mr. Nice Guy and help them and put a solution in place for them. It's collect. If you're not collecting, you don't have a job. I mean, that's just the way it is. And that's the same with the IRS. No matter what they tell you, if you don't have collections, there's not a job for you as a revenue officer, as a IRS agent. You could be one of those IRS agents that are there on the phone that can recite tax code for you, which they still can't. But try preparing a return with a IRS agent on the phone. It isn't going to work. They don't know everything. They only look at what they're reading. And same with collections. They're only looking at their screen. If you've ever dealt with an IRS agent, you understand that the first thing they tell you is, after they get all your information and verify who you are, is hold on 5 minutes while I research this. And they'll come back in 5 minutes and say, hold on while I'm still researching this. And then they'll come back and tell you, hold on again for 5 minutes and finish researching this. And then they come back and tell you, hey, this is what you owe. Okay, well, need to put a payment plan in place. How much do you want to pay? And then they'll go back, hold on 5 minutes, let me see if this works. And all they're doing is plugging and playing, and they come back and tell you that doesn't work and they need more money. Or they'll ask you how much money you have in the bank. Well, why can't you send us that? Where do you bank at? Yeah, see, it's all a little bit of leading information to get information from you. It's the way it is. Now, we step into your shoes. We know how to stop that. We know how to keep them from bugging you. And here's the best thing about that. Your wife will sleep much easier at night knowing that Taxation Solutions is there, not by your side, but stepped in for you. So you don't have to deal with the IRS. She doesn't have to deal with the IRS. Or maybe your wife is dealing with this problem, and she can sleep easier at night knowing that she's got Taxation Solutions taking care of the problem for her. And you're able to sleep easier at night knowing that she's got somebody out there and doing this, the superheroes, to save you, save your family from the dreaded IRS and the collection agency. I mean, that makes life so much easier. It's kind of like my wife looks at me and goes, you just really worked on that electrical problem. Now I'm calling an electrician to make my life easier because I'm afraid we're going to have a fire in this house from you dealing with electricity. And it makes her feel better. And the electrician comes out and goes, yeah, he screwed it up. So now I call an electrician first. And that's why you should call Taxation Solutions first and let us deal with that problem. Don't make the problem worse. It cost me twice as much to get the electrician to fix the problem as it did if I had called him the first time.
Barry, how many times has a person called you that they have actually been talking to the IRS, which, that's not a good sign right there. But how many clients have come to you and they've really created a mess by talking to the IRS themselves?
Probably too many. Giving a lot of information that the IRS doesn't need, or giving it to them in the wrong way, or at the wrong time, or to the wrong person creates an issue. And sometimes what you say is what they treat as gospel. And it's really hard to refute what you said, even if you misunderstood what they were saying. You said something wrong
Right.
that you didn't mean to say. And, we prevent those things. So, and that's why we always tell you, check us out at taxationsolutions.net. Log in there. Hey, if you don't want to call us and you want us to call you, get on there. Let's set up a time where we can sit down and have a discussion and talk about what happened, what's going on, and how we can help you. Again, no judgment zone. We're not passing judgment on you. We've heard everything under the sun of reasons why. And matter of fact, all we want to do is help you get out of the situation. Or just pick up the phone. It's a free consultation. I got people standing by waiting to talk to you at 877-996-6477. And if our phone lines are tied up, we'll get back in touch with you. We always do.
We always run, if you're watching us on YouTube, we run the phone number and website for Taxation Solutions. But again, those of you, we've got a few minutes left. For those of you who are listening on one of the 60 platforms, especially iHeart, the phone number is 877-996-6477. Barry is with us every month. You can also go back to YouTube and watch today's show. Barry, I think the best decision we ever made was going to an hour-long show. I mean, there's still so many questions, but Barry is now one of our first experts that we do on a national basis now, and for longer than what we normally do, 25 minutes. But his show is so worth it, and the information he's offering is so worth it that we wanted to offer this to you. Hope you've learned something, and give Barry a call. It's a free call, and you can be rest assured that whatever Barry tells you is gospel. Barry, I always say how much I love doing this show, but I love doing this show.
Hey, Steve, one thing I want to do, and hey, connect with us on Facebook as well. Taxation Solutions Facebook page. We've got Facebook pages for different places around the country. But next month on this national program, what we're going to do is talk about getting an installment agreement with the IRS and some of the hurdles you got to go through, how you can do it. If you choose to do it yourself, that show that we do next month will help you put that installment agreement in place. But in the meantime, if you decide you need our help, please reach out and call us at 877-996-6477. Mention you heard it here and Ask the Experts nationally, and we'll have a special discount for you. Again, it's 877-996-6477. Thank you very much, Steve-O. I always appreciate it.
Bye, Barry. God bless you, bro.
God bless you. Thank you.
Barry Fowler. He's the president of Taxation Solutions. I love having him on the show. Hey, that's it for us. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.